Welcome back, class. Today, this is going to be our last lecture on vowels. So we'll be completing vowels, talking about the diphthongs. Um, I have trouble producing that word, actually, diphthongs. I think it's a very awkward word to say. So I may stumble on that as we go through this. Okay, so um, again, we're going to be talking about vowels based on our tongue position and our lips. So whether our tongue is high in the mouth through low, whether it's front in the mouth or back, whether it's tense or lax, and then whether our lips are rounded or unrounded. So at this point, I'm sure you guys are becoming very familiar with this terminology. Okay. Um, so this is our vowel quadrilateral. And what we're going to talk about is whether these diphthongs are phonemic or non-phonemic. So we have some diphthongs which, when we say that they're phonemic, they can change the meaning of a word if you use the incorrect one. Non-phonemic means that they do not change the meaning of the word. So they're interchangeable. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail here. Now, um, we don't see them on, we don't see the diphthongs on the vowel quadrilateral because they're representing really two vowels coming together, right? So the first symbol, first IP symbol is what we call the onset, and the second symbol, or the on glide, and the second symbol is the off glide. So diphthongs have two sounds together. So the sound quality changes. So you're moving your mouth during the articulation versus a pure vowel, which just has one sound. So because there's two sounds together, two vowel sounds combined, they're also represented with two symbols. So for example, the example that's given here for oi, as you could see, it's the or is the first symbol, and then the I is the second symbol. So sometimes when we're teaching someone these sounds, we actually use the visual of the two sounds coming together. So, and I think I mentioned this in a previous lecture. So if I'm trying to teach a child oi, I might say o, I, and teach them each sound independently and then bring them closer and closer together until they get to oi. Because when we say oi, um, we're saying it so quickly, those sounds are coming together so quickly that we don't notice that there's actually a shift in the articulation. So again, that in this example, or would be the on glide and I would be the off glide. Okay. So different textbooks use different ways to transcribe this. And I will tell you, and we're going to talk about this in class, different articulation tests use different ways to transcribe these. So sometimes you'll see just the single symbol for the non-phonemic diphthongs, okay? Our textbook uses what's considered standard IPA. So let's talk about this now. So there's 5 diphthongs. So the 3 phonemic ones are I. Okay, so in a word like I, boy, like in a word like boy, and then we have ow, such as in bow. Okay, those are considered phonemic because if you if you produced a word with just that vowel pattern in it, that diphthong, and then try to substitute another diphthong, you're going to have a different word. So there's a difference between, right, by and boy. They're two different words. The non-phonemic diphthongs, you can interchange them with the pure vowel version, and it still means the same thing. So the two non-phonemic ones are A and O. So bay and bow. So you will sometimes see in different articulation tests or different therapists' transcription that they may just use the pure symbol. So that would be for A, it would be the first part of this digraph here. And then for O, it's going to obviously be the O here. So let's talk about each one independently. Okay, so again, I, oi, and ow, as in cow, are the phonemic diphthongs. So always changes the meaning. There's no pure vowel. So even though it's two vowels coming together, these truly are two sounds coming together, always two digraphs to represent them. The non-phonemic ones, as I said, you will see some variation where sometimes they are transcribed with two digraphs, or a digraph, I should say, two symbols, and sometimes they are transcribed with just the initial vowel sound. So these are A and O. So there's some examples of some words with them. So bay and bow. Okay. Don't get tripped up on some of the spelling. So for example, this last phonemic diphthong here, as in cow, if it was B-O-W, right? It could be either bow or, right, bow. So that's where we want to make sure that we're really listening to the sound and not worrying about the spelling, because that's an example where it could be spelled the same way, but produced differently depending on what the word is. All right. So as we said initially, there is an on-glide sound, an on-glide vowel, and then there's an off-glide vowel. So let's talk about an activity that you could do to kind of start to learn these. So what I'd like you to do is look at these words, and then I'd like you to group them. Put them into which group is the same diphthong, and then you can check your work afterwards. All right. So one of the things that can help you also learn it is to slowly, as I gave you an example before, slowly say the on-glide and the off-glide, and then say it as a diphthong, okay? That will help you start to really understand what the articulation change is between the two vowels that make up the diphthong. Okay, so that's the end of this lesson on diphthongs. We're going to talk about diphthongs in class, and I'm going to show you a video of a speech therapist. Her name is Pam Marcella, and she teaches children hand motions as a visual support. And I think it's really helpful for the diphthongs because she does two different hand motions for the vowels. So you see two different hand motion visuals for them. So I think that that helps you visualize it better. So we're going to do that in class today to help you learn these. Okay, so that's it for vowels. and I look forward to seeing you later.